Alright guys, so just for the heck of it, I've just been playing around putting some different wheels on the 2023 Honda Civic Sport Hatchback here. Those are the same wheels I have in my S2000, which probably look familiar to you if you've been on my channel a lot. But this wheel right here is a 17 by 9 plus 60 offset, and I just test fitted it on the rear and it does fit. However, it is at its extreme limit here. The trailing arm is the closest point of contact. The shock actually has quite a bit of room still to the tire and wheel, and everything else has tons of room besides this trailing arm. It's going to be very hard to see in there. The lip of the wheel is almost touching that trailing arm, but when you spin it, it clears no problem. I think it'd be safer to run like a 5 mil or 3 mil spacer back here. So if you're looking for kind of the ideal spec for a 9-inch wheel on the rear, you're going to go with maybe a 17 by 9 or an 18 by 9 plus 55 or plus 57, in that range. It will give you just a little more breathing room to the trailing arm, but plus 60 is probably the furthest you can go. So the factory wheels are 18 by 8 plus 50, so this being a 17 by 9 plus 60 means that it's only, the lip of the wheel is only sitting out like 2 millimeters further than the stock wheel. So it clears the wheel arches no problem. So if you were to, like I said, run that 3 to 5 millimeter spacer here, you'd still have plenty of thread engagement on the OEM studs, and you would still clear the fenders on this car. One thing worth noting too is the S2000 has this like large lip with this rubber strip on it here, and people roll those fenders a lot. The new Civics, actually, everything is rolled already. There's some like noise insulation fender liner above it, but the metal lip itself is actually perfectly rolled from the factory. So if you're ever wondering about that, the thickness of the steel is probably 1/8 inch there, and not too much more behind it for wheel fitment. Going up front, I could check the front fender, but it feels just about the same. It's pretty well rolled from the factory, so much more clearance for the fenders than the older Hondas, 8th Gen SI, my S2000. Pretty neat to see that. Field test though is going to be up front to see how even remotely close I can get this. I doubt I'm going to have much luck. 17 by 9 plus 60 up front, but you never know. I will give it a try. It does fit pretty nicely on the rear. This is a 245/40 17 on here, so it's a little small for diameter compared to the 235/40 18 on the OEM wheels. You would really need like a little bit taller of a tire to make this look proper, but this would fit no problem if you're looking to do autocross or track days where a smaller diameter tire will actually get you better gear ratios, lower the gear ratios a little bit, throw your speedo off a little bit. Of course, your speedo would read a little bit higher than you're actually traveling. So I'm incredibly surprised to bring you guys this information, but 17 by 9 plus 60 fits up front as well. It's got about the same clearance to the shock back here with the tire and the lip of the rim, because the tire on this rim is pretty flush. It's a 245, like I said, on a 9-inch wheel. So you have like a little more than an 1/8 inch gap to the strut back there. So with a 5 millimeter spacer all the way around, I think you'd be good to go with the setup on this car. So as you can see, I can't spin it because the other wheel's on the ground, but no interference at all, no grinding. This design of the PF01 SS Enkei wheel wraps around the OEM brake caliper nicely, just like it does on the S2000. It's a really, really nice design wheel in my opinion. But yeah, I'm really astonished to say that this setup fits on here without any modification right out of the box. So if you can find a 17 by 9 plus 55 setup, or you know, go with a 17 by 9 plus 60 and use a little bit of spacer, you can fit this setup on the OEM body of your car without any modification, which is something you could not do without any modification on the older Civics. Like my old 8th Gen did not have this much room for activities in the fender wells, so that's really, really awesome to see. The Type R has much wider fenders, front and rear, and that has a 17 by 9, or sorry, 19 by 9.5 wheel from the factory. So it's got room to spare in there. I bet you could fit a 10 or 10.5 inch wheel with no problem on the Type R with the right offset, but looking at a base model here, that would be a pretty badass setup to rock this thing with some 245 Nankangs or some 200 treadwear tire on here. Let's see, with a 5mm offset more, you probably would still be okay with this fender, because like I said, it's pretty well rolled up in there. Big positive for the 11th Gen. It is, the engineers at Honda's were thinking of us enthusiasts to stuff a big meaty wheel and tire under there. So here's a quick look with it on the ground. Of course, you're going to notice a little more wheel gap with the stock suspension, since this diameter of the tire, like I said, is smaller than the OEM tire. But it's not even flush yet to the fender. It still has a little bit of room where it could come out, so I think that 5mm offset would be pretty perfect on this setup. But yeah, pretty surprised to see that this fits. That's really cool that I could have a wheel that I could, if I do decide to autocross this for fun or something, that it would have a pretty easy, fast setup on it. So thanks for watching, guys. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know what setups you guys are running on your cars. I'd really be interested to hear about it. Give the video a thumbs up, guys. I'll see you in the next one.